Hi, my name is Julie, and Kirk was my beloved cousin. Um, and my sister Betsy has some amazing memories of Kirk that she sent a letter about to me, and I'd like to read it for you guys today, okay? So, for Kirk. Kirk was my cousin. My name is Betsy, and I have wonderful memories of Kirk that I get to remember often. When I was a kindergartner in Bethesda, Maryland, Kirk came to live with us for a while. I think it was 1973. Kirk must have been around 18. I remember I was in morning kindergarten, so I came home around noon. My mother and father worked, and my brother and sister were still at school. My mother had hired a few different babysitters over the years to tend me, but they were never much fun. I remember her saying that. When Kirk arrived, he became my babysitter. When he started watching me, things changed. Instead of just keeping an eye on me like all the others, he actually engaged with me and made it fun. Kirk would take me out in his old car, and I remember looking down at the floorboard and being able to see the street below through a big rusted-out hole. And of course, there were no working seatbelts, but remember, it was 1973. He'd bring me to get a treat at the store, and then take me for a drive up some beautiful winding roads, the kind of streets that trees from each side would arch over us like tunnels. I was able to smell all the wonderful scents of fall because, of course, there was no AC, so we had to have the windows wide open, and this was the swampy Washington, D.C. area where the high humidity made the rotting leaves smell really intense. As we climbed higher and higher up the road, Kirk spun a story about a witch who lived at the top and roamed the woods. He said if I kept my eyes peeled, I might spot her. This might sound frightening for a 6 or 7-year-old, but my favorite TV show at the time was H.R. Pufnstuf, which featured a witch in the woods with talking, walking trees. So Kirk's story was actually thrilling and entertaining for me. When we reached the top of the winding road, we came across an old, boarded-up house. Kirk suggested we get out and explore to see if we could spot the witch. I was a little bit scared, but we went ahead and peered through windows, finding only a few chairs inside. As we were leaving, Kirk pointed out an old wooden chair on the front porch that seemed to be rocking on its own. He told me it must be the witch at work. At that time, I said, "Let's go, let's go." Most days after school, Kirk would treat me to something special and then take me on different winding roads, spinning new tales each time. Those adventures were some of the happiest moments of my childhood and became some of my most treasured memories. I feel incredibly fortunate that these experiences became such significant core memories for me and are carried on to this day by my daughters, nieces, and nephews, as well as myself. I'm not sure why Kirk eventually left, but it might have been due to our move to Ireland for my father's job. I think it was. When I came back to the States, I kept asking my mom when I would be able to see Kirk again, but that didn't happen until I was 18. During a visit to our Grandma Leah's house, Kirk was there. I gave him a big hug, but things were different. I was no longer a child. I should have told him then how happy he made me when I was little, but I didn't. I regret not telling him how much he had brightened my childhood, but we didn't reconnect until about 8 months before he passed away. And in that final period, I was finally able to express how meaningful those memories were to me. I shared how I had recreated those scary adventures with my children and then with my grandchildren. Recently, I took them to a winding road in Virginia where the trees arched overhead, and we found an old house, probably from the Civil War era. I told them the stories Kirk had shared, and they enjoyed it just as much as I had. So much fun. Thank you, Kirk, for the wonderful memories. Love, Betsy Rendell Neal. I wish that we could be there with you, but we are there in spirit, and I love you all.